A police chief says he now supports parole for a Greenwood woman in prison for killing her boyfriend.
That's a story we've been following closely. We've told you about the case of Tiffany Carroll, who investigators say was in an abusive relationship and was later diagnosed with battered women syndrome. Carroll is serving a 15-year prison sentence, and since her incarceration, a lawmaker and the solicitor on her case, they've supported her release from prison. She was up for parole earlier this week, but it was denied. Now, certain violent crimes in South Carolina require a 2/3 majority vote in order to grant parole. 2 people voted no during Carroll's hearing. One of them cited a letter he said was from the police chief. Now, the chief initially told us he did not write a letter, but today he clarified he sent a one-line email more than a year ago recommending denying her parole. He says he now stands behind the solicitor in supporting Carroll's release. We asked the Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services if it's standard practice to reference materials from previous hearings, and they told us the statement is considered valid until updated by the official. Now, Carroll's attorney told us he's filing a motion asking the board to reconsider this. We'll keep you updated on what they decide.